There are many studies that show there are enormous productivity, economic and red tape efficiencies to be had through this process. Where we disagree with the government is on the way that it has been done. There are many pages of ink being written about what happened on Saturday, and I don't want to relitigate those here. But one of them is not taking people with you. Not taking people with you. It's not simply the case that our democracy is about commanding the numbers and do whatever you want. It can't be like that, and it isn't like that. And it is particularly important in this area because there is some concern, legitimate concern in the community about how their privacy is protected, particularly in the digital sphere. Once upon a time, we would often think about just your DNA or your fingerprints, but all of us are walking fingerprints. When you link the prevalence of CCTV across just about every major city and village, every building, every suburb, we are walking facial fingerprints. So how the government protects and deals with identity is of real concern to people. And they're right to ask that we are properly considering that. And one of the things I've observed in this place, not just in this parliament but in any other parliaments, is that there is necessarily a technological lag between our understanding of technology and where it's going and our ability to react to that compared to what's actually happening in the community. It's moving at a frightening pace. So to have not done the proper consultation here is important. And I want to give a personal example that I experienced recently about how well-intentioned digital verification efforts had real-life consequences for me. And I'm not doing it to complain about what happened, I'm just giving it as an example. I had gone to my children's running club at a school, and we do that when we're not sitting here, every Tuesday and Friday. And one of the joys of that, they're primary school students, is we have breakfast together and then I walk them over to school. We had done that and I went to pay and my card didn't work. And I thought that was strange. I did another one, it didn't work. I looked at my internet banking and they were all well over limit. And I didn't understand why, but I knew I had to take them to school. I then called the bank and realised there was a long wait. So I had to get my brother to quickly come and take my kids to school. And again, I'm not complaining about that. When I eventually got through to the bank, what I found out was they wanted to talk to me about verifying my driver's licence, and to get my attention, they shut down all my banking. Shut it down. When I had kids to go to school. Now, again, not complaining about me, but I have since learned that that happened not just with my bank, but with many other banks and many other people. People? Oh, I will. Well, the two that I know of are NAB and CBA. There you go. And they did that. They did that at a time when many people were exiting car parks and they couldn't pay for them, and there was a huge queue behind them. Many people who, like me, were embarrassed in front of their friends and family at restaurants. Many people who had things to do, and for the convenience of the bank just to know what your ID was, even if you had been with them for decades, they could switch off your banking like that, disconnect you from your ability to be part of the economy, when very few people after COVID now carry cash. And in fact, there's a push to even get rid of cash. And we make people vulnerable to that. So you can understand the suspicion that people will have with how their digital identification is used, and in fact the suspicion that they have with how vulnerable they are in the digital economy. Because at the heart of this is trust. And again, I don't want to relitigate the referendum, but those same banks donated millions of dollars to one side of a campaign that was out of whack with the same people who they were shutting off from being able to pay for things. Perhaps that money, those millions, would have been better served, A, paying for Indigenous disadvantage directly, and B, having people on the call lines so that people who were stuck in restaurants, in shops, who were having bills cut off, who were stuck in car parks, they weren't waiting for an emergency call like that. There is a disconnect between the priorities of some of corporate Australia and the realities of what Australians are facing. And we saw that on the weekend, and I hope they reflect on that. So when we combine those two issues of bringing people with you, not taking them for granted, acknowledging their legitimate distrust in how the digital economy can be weaponised against them in the most significant way, where you cannot even pay for basics and you are humiliated in front of others on a large scale. I've had significant amounts of calls on that. If we acknowledge that, then I think this is an example, and this is a process that should be done much better, because we have to respect the legitimate concerns of people, particularly when it comes to privacy, particularly when it comes to their digital identity, and that is one of the many lessons that should be learned from Saturday. Thank you.